Fight fans, fight fans, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I am live once again for another live stream. Luke Starkiller, King #1 coming in ranking. It's simple. At all these apps, you can make money quick. No one is fighting out of poverty or the streets or the hood anymore. They'd rather be insta-famous. Influencers, ironically, are turning to boxing. I'm not sure about that. I know there's a lot of ways to make money online sitting on your ass. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, right? I do think, though, that it just shows you there's a lot of ways to make money. I think that it's all about what you're willing to do for the money that you make. You know what I mean? What you're willing to put up with, what you're willing to sacrifice. Is it legal? Is it dignified? Are you shaking your ass at a club to make it? Or are you sitting there lying to a bunch of old people about making their lives better, knowing damn well you're just trying to get them for their money? It depends, right? Bill Keevaney 1526 in the building. Counterpunch to you. Hit that like button as you come in. Yes, hit the like button as you guys come in. We have to talk about some boxing. We have to talk about a debate that's been grinding my gears. And no, I don't really have time to make a video after video after video. This deserves a live stream, okay? Dean Pickering 5402. King #3, Bill Keevaney, King #1 in the building. Hey, Kurt, love your show. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. That's what I need to hear. Words of encouragement. Like Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, speak it, believe it, receive it. It is speak it, believe it, receive it. Speak it, believe it, receive it. Yeah, man. Yeah. Good vibes, good words. Words mean a lot, right? A lot of people, though. It's weird when I come up, it wasn't what a person said, it was what a person did. Now it's all about what a person says on top of what they do. You know, you remember sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. You guys remember that? It's like we grew up on that, but then yet I don't know if that encouraged anti-snitches, because, you know, a lot of people that used to snitch. You know, Miss Strickland, Kurt did that. You know, JB, what's good, Kurt? How's it going, man? Everything is great, man. Just got out of the shower. You know, I'm representing Terrence Crawford in the building. Of course, I believe in him. Yeah. And before everybody starts, I got Canelo stuff too. You know what I mean? I've bought. It's crazy. I got a lot of merch from Usyk, Joe Louis, Roy Jones, Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Crawford, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua. You know, so yeah, it's a lot of people I do, and I would like more. I think what's important, it's not who's on the top, it's who you support. You know. So I think we need to understand that. I think as boxing fans, if we were more like football fans, boxing would be totally different, because it's not about who whooped your ass last or who you beat last. It's about who do you follow and why. You know what I mean? If you're only following fighters because they win every fight, well, that just shows you that you have an unrealistic way of looking at life, because life to you is all about the winners. What about you at work? What about the times where you were up for a promotion and you didn't get it and some cocksucker did, right? You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Memorial Gardens, 1664. Hello, counterpunch to you. Carmeef C, 843. What's up, Kurt? It's been a while, brother. Counterpunch to you. Alex Max Power 18 in the building. Wait a minute. Okay, there it is. Just got out of the shower, does it? What's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. I heard Itauma is on Jermaine Franklin as his next opponent. Can you confirm? No, I can't confirm because Jermaine Franklin is fighting Ivan, and what is it? Ivan Dicho or Daicho, something like that. So I can't confirm. Ivan, yeah, Dicho, or is it Daicho, right? So he's fighting him and he's undefeated, 15 and 0, 14 KOs, 6'9". So that's going to be a challenge for Jermaine Franklin, I guess, because this guy, coming from Kazakhstan, and if you know anything about Kazakhstan, the great Gennady Golovkin, Triple G, is from Kazakhstan. So, and I think they make them different over there in Eastern Europe, to be fair. You know what I'm saying? That's like like you got the UK, which is, France, Spain, well, that's not the UK, but France, Spain, Portugal, Italy. Then you got, Ireland, then Scotland, then, England, you know what I mean? Then you got Eastern Europe. You know what I'm saying? Those are different areas, up north. I know I missed some countries, but definitely, they're just made different over there. Curtis, extremely frustrating time for American heavyweight boxing. The fact that we don't even have proper, strong, and upcoming prospects is deflating. I love the UK, but Moses is going to run the division. Well, here's the thing. Anthony, JE7DN. If Moses Atoba runs the division, I think we're looking at this all wrong, for one. Because Moses Atoba being 20 years old, do you guys see the potential and how big and how vast a division can come? A guy can do. He has a lot of work to do. And he started early. He's not 25, 26, 27. No, he's 20. And he's beaten guys like Dillian White, even though we didn't know what condition Dillian White was truly in. And I will have Big Dean on the scene early next week. Okay, that's the targeted time. So he'll be back to talk about his feelings on his brother Dillian's performance or whatever. So, some little news at you, some new news coming at you guys. But I think back to Moses Atoba, he's running through these guys. And if he keeps doing that, we're going to see more of the same. And what's wrong with seeing someone dominant in the division? The only struggle will be making these fights happen. You know what I mean? But then think about Queensberry. Think about Frank Warren. Look at his stable of fighters. He has a lot of people. Zhang, Caballo, Parker, Joyce, Dubois. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he has a lot of people. So there's a lot of possible matchups. And I'm just waiting for Frank to open the floodgates on these fighters. Because I know the objective. The objective is to get Moses to get Moses to the championship opportunity and for him to win the championship and to become champion. That being said, you got Moses Atoba, 20 some odd year, early 20s, because I predict Moses Atoba becoming a star. He's gonna become a champ next year. I mean, the way the rate is, he's either gonna rise or he's gonna fall. And if he does, you have Bakali, and you have Zhang, you have you guys know, because a video's coming soon at you to really elaborate. You got Kubrat Pulev and talk, and then it's like, okay, and Michael Hunter still, and he's a topic of this live stream. Jarrell Miller, right? You know what I mean? And we have a lot of that going on. So, all right, let me see what's going on here. Here we go. Isn't Richard Torres? Yeah, Richard Torres. That's it. So we have Richard Torres, and he's like, okay, he's a tough guy, undefeated guy. So that's another guy. That's another matchup. Terramona, Jaya Pataya. Bro, let me tell you something. It's going to be lit. I think Bivens too small, and I don't think he punches hard enough. I think he'll be in a situation like, what's his name? Damn. James Toney. James Toney was in. James Toney was a guy. Let me put something in my system. James Toney was a guy that didn't belong at heavyweight like that. I mean, he did his due diligence. I mean, he stopped Evander Holyfield. Man, that was a beat down. But that just shows you, though, James Toney beating Evander Holyfield was kind of like what we saw and witnessed. It's just we witnessed against Moses versus Dillian. When you got somebody worn, torn, sure experience, but I think everyone has damage and everyone has a toll or a limit of how much they can take before they're compromised, as well as durability on what they can take. Man, you get punched in the face again and again and again. Tony Bellew said it best. He said, when you, per year, regardless if you're in a fight or in sparring, you're getting punched in the head at least 50,000 times a year. Let that sink in for a minute. You're getting hit to the dome 50 plus thousand times per year. That's a lot of times getting hit. Now imagine the ratio besides, getting, avoiding these shots and getting punched by those shots, right? Kurt Leo Tang. Exactly, Leo Tang. He's another one. It's just people are coming up. I'm actually, probably beginning of the year, I'm moving back to the Caribbean. So that's going to be big. And then I'll have a studio and stuff like that, kind of like this, but better, tropical style. And we will have daily live streams. You know what I mean? So I'm excited about that. And back to, we can cover guys like Moses Itauma because there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of matchups that he can have, foreign and domestic. Okay, because there's sure nothing wrong with a good British fight with Danny Dubois, because Danny Dubois is not done. Danny Dubois has just fought one of the best fighters of this generation. So at the end of the day, you can't say, and I don't want to hear people saying Danny Dubois is done. It's just Danny Dubois. And I've been telling people, Danny Dubois in his entirety is a guy that, if he can hit you, he's going to stay in there with you. Bars. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but then you have a lot of matchups, man. So Moses Itauma kicking ass wherever he goes. He has an opportunity to put a lot of people on the resume, and speaking of resumes, speaking of activity, and speaking of inactivity, we have Michael Hunter, we have Jarrell Miller. Now, here's the funny thing, okay? I'm going to let you guys listen because there's enough people in here now. I'm going to let you guys listen to a clip. Let me turn on my boom. And because you guys got to hear this. And it's crazy because this was last year, I think. I think this was last year.
To use this feature, please make sure your app is running and can access the internet.
Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, so Mr. Michael Hunter, you guys know, if you guys haven't seen the interview with Michael Hunter, AJ, if AJ is going to continue, Dubois should. AJ, I mean, to me, I think AJ has done a lot for boxing. You know what I mean? Especially heavyweight boxing. He was one of the founders of the resurrection of boxing. Tyson Fury started it with the upset loss of Vladimir Klitschko, and you guys know what happened after that, right? Then came AJ. So I don't care if, it doesn't bother me one way or the other. He's made enough money, and if he's not hungry, but he's still trying to stay in there, I think that's a mistake. Boxing is not the sport to get sloppy. We've seen James Worthy. We've seen Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We've seen even Magic Johnson. Well, not even Magic Johnson. Not Magic. He doesn't really apply because he was forced to retire. But we've seen these guys before they retire, and we've seen them how they have decreased and diminished, and they're no longer sharp and quick with the reflexes and the, you know what I mean, the jump shots off, and the, you know, they can't get their timing right, and they, you know what I mean, they just cannot make those shots that the younger guys are able to do on the fly. Boxing is the same way, except that you're getting punched in the face. Basketball players are not getting punched in the face. They get an elbow, they're like, oh, you know. So no. So it is what it is. My boy Kurt, 100, King Grayson in the building, counterpunch to you. You know, too much talking and not enough doing, getting fat in between fights. Yeah, I think that's a them problem. And I think that's a bad issue. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because especially in the heavyweight division, because there's no weight limit that you have to make. So there's no true force or restriction or demand on diet. You know what I mean? On weight. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to. You can come in 300 pounds where the last fight you were 250. You're like, well, wait a minute. What the hell? You know, look at Andy Ruiz. Look at Mark McCauley. Look at Dillian White. You guys know Dillian White, you know. Dillian White fighting Lucas Brown in 2018. Then he fights Joseph Parker. After the Parker fight, he goes to the U.S. Okay, he goes to the U.S. and he finds out about American food. That, yeah, American food is bloody good. It's good. I ain't gonna lie. American food is good. But I'm gonna tell you, selective American food. Selective. Not that chain bullshit. The chain bullshit will have you in the hospital at age 50. Diabetes, high blood pressure, heart attack, stroke. The shit's bad here. Okay? Cancer. Yeah. Obesity. That's what we have here in the States. Just quiet kept. And you're talking and you're hearing it from an American. The food's good, but the food is no good for you. A lot of preservatives, ingredients, and shit like that. The shit, they're banned in other countries. These are facts. However, the shit's good. And Dillian White came over here eating all that shit up. You should have saw him. You seen Dillian White in interviews. This cat was like, yeah, to tell you, man, to tell you, say the money was real. The money was real, man. I just tell you, the shit is good, man. Fucking oh, he's eating popcorn and hot dogs and eating a glizzy, and this dude's killing it. And he's doing interviews, eating and shit. I'm like, dude, what's up? This dude's eating again. You know, he's sitting there chilling. Southern fried chicken is so good, home cooked. Listen, let me tell you something. On my Patreon peeps, I did a review. I did a food review of Southern Classic Chicken. You guys are ever in Louisiana, you gotta check out Southern Classic Chicken. Anyway, the shit's great. It's like, they call it crack chicken back home. They call it crack chicken. Literally crack chicken. You know why they call it that? Because you start eating this shit and it's like, hey, the next day, hey, you wanna go back and get some more? Yes, so it's crazy. It's crazy. Is it good for you? That's a whole different story. But it is delicious. It's one of the delicacies in the northern Louisiana area, the ankle of the state, right? The boot-looking state, Louisiana. New Orleans down there, which don't even call themselves Louisianans. I'm from Louisiana, I'm from New Orleans. Like, wow, interesting. But good day to you, David Johnson, 4567, counterpunch to you. I do like fried chicken sandwich. Yeah, a lot of those are fake. I don't eat chicken sandwiches. You know, now I will try a chicken sandwich from Popeyes in New Orleans. You got to know where to go. Not what, but where. Okay. New Orleans. Definitely not good for you. No. Hard stoppers, definitely. But no, back to Dillian White. The dude was eating, he was grubbing these foods, he was taking it all in, and he got fat. The time he came back to the ring, I think we saw him. I seen Dillian. He took on. This was after the Rivas fight. So after the Rivas fight, bro, in between the Rivas fight and Marius Walk fight, Dillian White had gained 30 pounds. Stranginess, absolutely. Propina tu tiene. That's your tip, sir, in English. Um, but yeah, these heavyweights, man, they blow up in weight. Jarrell Miller, same thing. Anybody like Miller going through what he went through with the whole PED issues. I think he should have been more disciplined because when he did fight and he did get that opportunity and he got those M's fighting Danny Dubois, one of the main reasons that fight probably wasn't the fight of the whole night was because Jarrell Miller ran out of gas. Imagine putting two gallons in a fucking Suburban and you're in Shreveport, Louisiana, and somebody tells you to drive to Mississippi on 2 gallons. That's how it was. Going 10 rounds with Danny Dubois and you're a Suburban, triple XL on 2 gallons of gas is impossible. All right? I've enjoyed enough food for a lifetime. I'm eating nothing but eggs, tuna, milk at the moment. I understand. Try fasting, man. Fasting is, bro, that's like the new cure for a lot of shit. If you catch cancer, which I hope to God you don't, just try fasting. Kurt, who do you think, who wins Frank Sanchez versus Moses Itauma? Frank Sanchez. Thank you, Jack's man. Pennant in the building. I think that's another fight that should happen. I think that's a fight that should happen before Frank gets too past or wherever. Frank, after the surgery, I have to see where he's at. I hope he's still able. And see, that'll be a different fight. See, Moses now is dealing with somebody with also good feet. Why do you think, and I don't know, I guess our memories are so damn short, or, people forget that Alexander Usyk said that his hardest, or his, one of the hardest people that he's ever fought was Tyson Fury. Now, regardless if you're a Fury fan or not, I don't care if you are. All I can tell you is there's a reason why he was regarded as one of the most difficult fighters. Why? It's because Tyson Fury was also able to move with Usyk. Could he move as good as Usyk? No, but he could move with Usyk. That's why I wanted to see the Parker fight. Because you're not going to see a quick guy versus a slouchy guy. You're going to see a quick guy versus a quicker guy. When you have those matchups, you're going to have different results and interesting exchanges. Then it's going to dictate how you feel about the fight and who can implement what at the time. CC Motion, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. I think Moses could stop Miller. It would definitely be Fist City. I want to see it. Frank Sanchez versus Moses Itauma. I want to see it. Danny Dubois versus Moses Itauma. I want to see it. Bakare Jololov versus Moses Itauma. I want to see it. Think about all these fights. Michael Hunter before he gets fucking 40 versus Moses Itauma. I want to see it. These fights like this, I want to see. I definitely want to be involved in. I want to see make or take place. A prime Michael Hunter versus Moses would be fire. It would be. It would be. It's just what bothers me about that fight is, because we did say prime, right? Prime is Moses is a lot bigger than people think he is. You know what I'm saying? But then, you know how people now are manipulating their height. You know what I'm saying? They're getting those big thick ass soles and they're putting them in there. You got a guy like 6'4", and you look around and he's comes from here to here. You know, and I'm like, wait a minute, dude. I was looking up at you yesterday. Why am I looking at you today? Because of the damn soles, the manipulation. They put these insoles in the shoes and it gives them, you know, 3 inches, right? Kurtz, it's sad that it's legal for them to poison in our foods and then jack up insurance rates. Yeah. But I mean, if that's what they knew they were going to do, why not jack up insurance rates? Because you know you're going to need insurance, because you're going to need doctors, and the doctor's going to need pharmacists, and the pharmacists are going to need you to take that drug so you can get hooked on that drug. It's not going to help you. It's just going to prolong what you got going on. That's the sad part about that. Yeah. Yeah, I do agree. That's why shit that is more than likely expensive is the best thing. 40% of the money that I make, that I spend, is on food. Steaks, organic eggs, organic fruit, organic vegetables. You know, soursop, moringa, ashwagandha, ayahuasca. No, just kidding. Who wins, Wilder versus Ngannou? I don't know, Bill. I just think and hope that both of those guys, being their age, can get that fight done. And I'm glad you mentioned that. Deontay Wilder is part of the problem, okay? And I don't want to call it an American problem, but it is an American problem, or a problem with Americans. These dudes can't get a fight booked. And that's what we need to talk about today. You know, Mama Lou counterpunch to you. Terramona versus Mark McCauley would be good. Yeah, Mark McCauley is another one. Versus Moses Itauma is a good one. And Shilajit and Ashwagandha just came today. Yeah. Shilajit's good. I used to take a lot of that last year. It's really good for you. It's really good. But back to what I'm saying. Miller versus Hunter. What's the deal? What's going on with Miller? What's going on with Hunter? Okay. Now, what I can tell you is we're going to start from what we already know. What we know is Michael Hunter came on the show and said that him versus Jarrell Miller is a go. On top of, once Jarrell Miller found out that that fight was, I guess, finalized, he blocked Michael Hunter. That's where we left off. Okay, so just to give you guys and get you guys up to speed, that's as far as we know and what we've been updated up to. Okay, so how many American heavyweights do we actually have? Richard Torres, Jermaine Franklin, Jarrell Miller, Michael Hunter, Frank Sanchez. That's it. Well, Joshua Edwards, that new cat, the golden boy. He's gonna be somebody too that people don't talk about. Okay, Miller wants to smoke, man. He liked a few of my messages on IG. He's the kind of guy that will talk to fans. Well, strangeness, get him to come to Counterpunch Boxing News so he can talk to us. Because one thing I don't want, we've had Michael Hunter on the show, and that's my boy. Good guy, nice guy, cool. However, I don't like to hear ever from one person when it involves two people, if that makes sense. So when you got somebody saying this and saying that, and you haven't heard from the other person, is Anderson still around? That's right, Jared Anderson. I'm sorry, him too. But that's a good question. Is he still around? I don't really know. But I can tell you this is what recently went down. Okay. So, Michael Hunter. According to Big Baby Miller, after that, Big Baby Miller had this to say: Hunter's clown emoji Official out, fights off. LMFAO with the laughing emoji. Can't make this ish up. Okay. Yeah, have heard of him. Have heard or seen him in a while. Yeah, he's MIA. I mean, and that was one of the guys that's supposed to fight Jarrell Miller, needless to say. So he says a lot of people played themselves trying to make this fight happen. Even the jackass Hunter I thought was my homie, 15 years plus, sold his ASS for chump change. Heard it here first. Next. So I I replied, I'm like, okay, so I sent it to Mike. And I'm like, what the hell? Right? And he says Big Baby couldn't get a license in Nevada. And, of course, I'm like, okay, damn. Well, why not? Because there has to be an explanation for that, in which I haven't received one. Now, since then, you know, we've had Jarrell Miller come out, and Jarrell Miller's like, well, hey, these guys, let's go to Jarrell Miller's Instagram for a second. No, not with the drug emojis, not with the needle emojis. Jared Anderson versus Wardley. That would be a good fight, honestly. Um, there we go.
Godfrey here. I want.
Okay. So, Big Baby Miller, Stephen Bosch, August 19th. Okay. Big Baby Miller posted this. He said, we write in regard to the discussed bout between Jarrell Miller and Michael Hunter. As a result of various unresolved legal and regulatory issues surrounding this pro-offered bout, as well as the respective participants, we cannot proceed with the bout as originally contemplated. This unfortunately turns of events was not decided in isolation, as a variety of necessary partners indicated an unwillingness to proceed under the circumstances. Respectfully yours. All right, so, okay. And like by whoever and others, Big Baby Miller, cocksucker Michael Hunter is real lame. Your pimp said you can't fight. Why I need to lie? You really starting to piss me off. Have the same energy in person, you lame. Case closed. From Turkey and his people, fights off, Michael out. Huh. So, that was from Turkey and his team, informing him or whatnot, Jarrell Miller, that, because of the Don King situation, and I got to hear some of these comments, okay? You ran from Wardley and now you want him. You forgot that you are getting old and time is not on your side. Okay. Opens the door to Big Baby versus Moses Itauma. All right. Bro, you know damn well any fighter not out of a Don King contract until Don King says so might be all kind of binding agreements and that shit. Well, I think this is what happens with that. I do think that if you're dealing with any kind of pending issue legally, it's not going to be done with a piece of paper unless it's in front of a judge that piece of paper or evidence is presented in court. So that may be the case. That may be that you can have all the proof. Like, hey, I have the proof right here, but it has to be submitted in court. And and it has to go before the judge, and the judge has to take a look at it, and therefore the judge makes a decision if it's valid or not. You know what I mean? But that's when you go to court. Me personally, I think, and I felt like, whoa, you go from, which before we heard Michael Hunter come on the show, it was an issue, or to me, it came off as though Michael Hunter was just like, look, I'm out, right? I'm done. I'm finished. I'm not with you no more. I'm done. I got the paperwork, and I'm going to get another fight. And boom, right? But as Michael came on, he told us, right? If you guys haven't seen that interview, please look at that interview, exclusive with Michael Hunter. Okay, look on my live tab, and it's on there. And he informed us all, like, listen, that is void, and they didn't have a fight for me because Kubrat Pulev was suing Don King and the WBA. It was a WBA ranked issue. Kubrat Pulev was supposed to have a certain amount of money for an appeal, which he didn't have. So, you know what I mean? So those were the things, the factors that didn't have anything to do with Mike. And I think Mike looked at that and was like, dude, this is too much. You guys want to hold me to a fight like I've been held in before with the Huey Fury. You remember the Huey Fury issue? Well, this guy here, I don't know what was going on with him. I heard he has, health problems, which is unfortunate. But this overall, he didn't want to be in the same situation, which I can 100% agree. Who wants to be in a situation when you're waiting around for a fight? You're 37 years old. You haven't fought in God knows when, and you're sitting around waiting for somebody else to figure it out, where you were promised a fight, so you sign a contract to fight a particular fighter that's not fighting because that fighter is suing the WBA, which is the sanctioning body of where the fight's supposed to be sanctioned. So you got issues. Then you have Jarrell Miller saying, the cocksucker Michael Hunter, is saying I'm running. I ain't running. This is what these people are telling me that's supposed to put on the fight that we got going on. So it's a lot to process, because Mike's dealing with Steel Don King, obviously, because what Don has already been able to do, sending stuff to Turkey al-Sheikh, and Turkey al-Sheikh and them reviewing it, and then they're sending it to Jarrell Miller saying, hey, this fight's off. You can't have this shit because Don King is, he has an issue with the fighter that you want to fight, so you can't fight that fighter. So it's a lot going on, man. Might not be the boxers, but someone else, lawyers or managers or promoters. There again, it could be the boxers. Well, boxers. Jarrell Miller, this is a fight that if he's not a part of or a reason for it not happening, right? Which I'm not pointing a finger at anybody. I am saying this. The Fabio Wardley fight, he pulled out. The Derek Chisora fight, he pulled out. And if you guys want to see a good interview, I think it's on Box King Media or something like that. They were all in a van, a Sprinter van, and they're all just chilling. It was Jarrell Miller, and it was Derek Chisora, and I can't remember who the other dude was, but these guys were heavyweights, and Derek Chisora is he's the OG, so he says what the hell he wants to say, and if not, you got Derek Chisora to deal with. He's not the type of dude you want to kind of get pissed off at because he got size, he can punch, and he is about that life. If you don't know Derek Chisora, you know Derek Chisora being this guy that's too legit to quit. But before that guy that was too legit to quit, he fought everybody and he did everything inside and outside the ring. You know what I mean? He was the kind of guy that will slap you, turn a chair over on you, splash you with a thing of water, headbutt you. That is Derek Chisora. So Derek Chisora was there with Jarrell Miller. And I think he checked Jarrell Miller. You know what I mean? And Jarrell ate that shit like a cheeseburger, to be fair. That's how it came off to me because he was like, let me tell you something, Jarrell. You fucked this fight. You pulled out this fucking fight. You pulled out the Wilder fight. You pulled out of these fights, man. You can't be taking fights and pulling out. That's your problem. You don't get fights. You remember that? I don't know if you guys seen that, but and Jarrell Miller, was like, you know what I mean? He wasn't that vintage Jarrell Miller. But I will say this about Jarrell Miller. He comes off aggressive to certain people, but the people that he likes, he won't be that way. He's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Jarrell Miller's a guy that if he knows you, likes you, like Andy Ruiz, Derek Chisora, who else is in that circle of people? He doesn't really, he doesn't mess with. Because I mean, like especially Andy, he didn't want to he didn't even really want to fight Andy, and I honestly think he doesn't want to fight Michael Hunter. Which I'm not mad about him not fighting Michael Hunter. I'm just mad because both guys, if they had to fight each other, which I don't really prefer, but if they're fighting each other, I would prefer them to fight somebody though. The problem is they're inactive. They're not getting fights, so nothing's being done. You're a prize fighter and you're not fighting for a prize, and it has been a long time. Jarrell Miller ain't been in this ring this year. Michael Hunter's not been in this ring this year, right? Sparring, sure. Fighting, prize fighting, getting paid, no. Might not be the boxers. Okay, let's move. Just enter the chat. The USA doesn't have any good promoters or top fight trainers any longer. Who is a promoter on par with Warren or Hearn? Who are the best two trainers? Garcia and Roach? No. No. I mean, well, Teddy Atlas doesn't really train anymore. I think his last, who was his last guy that he trained? Seriously, was it, I think it was Timothy Bradley. That was a long time ago because Timothy Bradley's been retired for a while now. Because I think after that last, I know he was in there with Ngannou and, he was showing Ngannou some things that he needed to see, I feel. But, nonetheless, I don't think Teddy's around no more. But no, Garcia, no, I wouldn't say Garcia. I think Abel Sanchez, he's a good one. He's still around. He's training Philip Hergovic now. Virgil Hunter, he's a pretty good, trainer. You got Ronnie Shields. You got Derek James. You know what I mean? And I think Derek James's stock has risen because people are starting to look, and they should. If they haven't, you should. Derek James's stock should rise. And it should rise because you should see the difference between certain styles or methods that trainers use to prepare fighters. And you've seen how he prepared AJ for Helenius in Franklin versus how we seen Ben Davison prepare Joshua for Dubois and Wallin, and really Hergovic if you want to count that, but Ngannou if you want to count that, but no, I think that there's a difference. You know what I mean? So I think Derek James, needs more credit because if Derek James was in the corner with AJ, it would have been a different fight. It would have been a totally different fight. You would have had AJ more responsible, more defensively sound, and, more aware of what's coming in versus what he can throw out. Because I think Ben Davison is a guy still. He's a guy that's really more about offense and moving your feet instead of moving your head and your upper body. Versus Derek James is more of a guy that teaches you how to fight on the inside, but responsively, defensively, and on the inside, mid-range to inside, you know how to get in there without getting your head knocked off or getting countered with something that may take you out. Okay, so if anything, Derek James' stock should rise. So when you talk about top American trainers, you're talking about Roach, bro. Roach, God bless him, but Roach is sick. He's been sick. Roach in boxing is like this. Without boxing, Roach said it himself. Roach said that without boxing, to keep my life worthy of cause, I would unalive myself. And when I heard that, I thought to myself, my God, that's crazy. But then, what else? You're sick. Parkinson's is no joke. Ask Michael J. Fox. You could have asked Muhammad Ali. A lot of people are dealing with this, and yeah, it's no joke. Might not be the boxers, but one else. Okay, why does it keep doing that? I know we have more. Sorry, my messages is stuck. Hold on a second. Just enter the chat. See, yeah, it's way past that. Hold on a second. There we go. Okay, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't know why it does that either, but let's see. Kurt, what are you talking about? Fall of U.S. fighters. We run boxing. UK has one champion who I taught Ford beat. No, the hell are you talking about? How do you run boxing? Tell me how you run boxing. How do we run boxing? Canelo? Canelo's in Mexico. I mean, you got a house probably somewhere. Miller is a lot more positive in his downtime compared to Dillian White. I think you have to be and try to stay in shape. I do too. Believe. Who failed? I don't know. Let's see. There we go. All right. Boxing will always be the best in the States. Okay. I mean, that's opinion, but okay. These UK fans are deluded, Kurt. They have one champ who got beat. No. Let's see. Boxing's still number one in America. Okay. The U.S. is doing just fine. We have Haney, Bud, Boots, Shakur, and we have many prospects. Okay, well, for one, we do have Bud. Boots, people are pissed at Boots. Let's be real. Boots is trying to find an easier opponent to look better against. Let's just keep it real. Shakur, he's supposed to be fighting somebody. It ain't Tank now, is it? No, because Tank's fighting Jake Paul, which, what the hell is that about? You know what I mean? Okay, so I don't know what you mean. Devin Haney, he's fighting Brian Norman Jr., which that's a fight I'm looking forward to. Now, that is a fight that I am looking forward to. So that's definitely a check. But all those other people, man, nah. Hell no. Kurt, your opinion, Terrence, on now God Poseidon. No. Listen, you don't know what this means. Do you guys know what this shirt means? This is this was from the Errol Spence fight. The big fish doesn't mean he's Poseidon. It means that when Errol Spence was saying that he's the big fish. All right. And he's saying he's the big fish. And Terrence Crawford said, well, hey, I like fishing. And he said, okay, you like fishing. It's kind of hard to catch a shark. That's a shark. Right? So then Terrence Crawford was like, hey, man, I got my fishing pole. It was like, and Errol was like, man, you're not going to catch this shark. You're not going to catch it with a fucking fishing pole. So it was a funny thing back and forth. Errol was like, you ain't catching me no fucking fishing pole, man. You ain't catching me no damn fishing pole with shark, man. I'm a great white. You can't catch me no fishing pole. Right? And, Terrence Crawford was like, I'm going to get gonna get my fishing pole out. I'm gonna just cut him up the butt. I'm gonna get him in there. I'm gonna take him out. You ain't gonna catch me with no damn fishing, but you ain't gonna catch me with a fucking fishing pole. Boots made a mistake by signing with Hearn. Boots will whoop anybody. Hearn is not good for Boots. I said it from day one. Why is he not good for Boots? When have you seen, probably besides, I haven't seen Eddie Hearn. If Eddie Hearn knows you want that smoke, he's going to try to get you fights. Unless you just are not marketable like Demetrius Andrade. He's not marketable. Demetrius Andrade made so many mistakes and bad decisions to the point where people didn't want to work with him. He was undefeated up until the point he had David Benavidez. He got the David Benavidez fight. And even when he fought David, it was like, that was like the sacrificial lamb. Like, give him something that I know that he will not be able to handle. Because he couldn't get fights from the Charlos and shit like that. He just, and Eddie couldn't get it for him. It just wasn't going to happen. But you can't blame it on Eddie Hearn. Because if Eddie Hearn knows that you're an ambitious fighter, look at Devin Haney. Devin Haney left Eddie Hearn because he knew that he couldn't get the Kambosos fight without signing with Bob to fight Kambosos twice, and he had to do so. Okay, so that was some politics shit. But no, you can't say that Eddie ain't did shit for these fighters or Eddie can't promote. If that was the case, he wouldn't be one of the best promoters on the planet. You know what I mean? And the question you ask yourself, who and what promoter? What promoter is bigger than Frank Warren or Eddie Hearn in the States? Who? Oscar De La Hoya? Hell no. Try again. Bob Arum? Try again. Who are we talking about? There is nobody bigger than those two promoters. So I don't know why. Look, listen. I know I grinded gears with the title, but it's a fact. In America, we're dealing with a problem. We have issues of unresolved fights. We're not getting fights. We hear talks. All we do is hear talk. You know what I mean? I think all the news should just be talk. Counterpunch, boxing, talk. Because, I mean, when you're dealing with, like, what has really came out of America that actually happened? What happened? Al Heyman is crap nowadays. I mean, he doesn't have, and what he's doing, he's milking everybody, and then the piracy is rising, and people are getting tired of paying $70, $80 for that shit. You know what I mean? Netflix is going to soar. Netflix is going to be around, and it was a good move now. It's just they need to work on their servers. Because if their servers ain't working like it, and we seen that same shit like we seen in Paul and Tyson, oh yeah, we're going to have a problem. The PBC is doing rubbish nowadays. Shout out from John Fallon, Galway, Ireland. Kurt, love your show. John Fallon in the building. Counterpunch to you. Hearn is not good for Boots because of what you just said. His opponents are trash. Well, I mean, he should then fight other opponents. 154. I mean, like the opponent that he chose, bro. What the hell? Why couldn't you put Boots in there with Fondora, Mutataliev? Who else is there? Is Jermell Charlo back, or is he still spending that Canelo money? I think he's still spending that Canelo money. What the fuck happened to them? What happened to Jamal Charlo? Madrimov, Virgil Ortiz. I mean, you know, it's like you have these guys that should be fighting. You had Boachuk, which he's fighting on the undercard. Boachuk is fighting on the undercard, but it's like, okay, who's he fighting? Kurt, in how much years do you see Turkey owning the high level of boxing? I don't. You know what gets me though about Turkey? Turkey, I think Turkey Al-Sheikh is he might be a fly by night. I mean, he's been doing this, you know, I mean, we've got accustomed to him, and I think people don't realize what we have. And what we have as a person, a tyrant. We have a fucking Thanos in boxing. Turkey Al-Sheikh is the Thanos of boxing, bro, at this point. What happens if Thanos decides to fly away into the galaxy and leave boxing? What happens then? Boxing will come to a screeching halt, except for UK domestic fights. And we'll be back to smaller fights from the O2. You know, you won't really see a lot of Tottenham Stadium unless Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn want to fight a third time type shit. You know, you may see fights like that. But other than that, you're not going to see a lot because you're not going to have anyone willing to put up the money for the fight. They're going to have to strategize certain fights instead of most fights because we want to see most fights. Because us as consumers, we want to see fights happen that are more entertaining and more challenging because we want to see these fighters, as good as they appear to be, are supposed to be, challenged. We want to see these guys challenged in the ring. We don't want to see them sitting around with, fighting guys that looks like they got off the back of a fucking garbage truck, people. You know what I'm saying? Part-time Uber drivers and plumbers and cable servicemen and, no, we want real athletes for real athletes. If you got an athlete in New York, then you got another one in Britain, and the fight could be made. If no one comes up with the money, that fight will never be made. And that's what Turkey represents. That's like, hey, if Turkey finds interest in you and you're able to show, hey, that's a bad mofo, okay, yeah, show him the check. Get him in there with the best possible guy in the division. How do you think we got the Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol 1 and 2? We wouldn't have got that shit without Turkey Al-Sheikh. How do you think that we really got Usyk versus Tyson Fury for Undisputed? We wouldn't have got that shit. We wouldn't have got any of that if it wasn't for Turkey Al-Sheikh. Kurt, who's Michael Hunter's next fight? I have no idea. Muhammad Rayhan. I have no idea. I have no idea who Michael's fighting now. Michael Hunter's next fight, it seems like Don King. Because it seems to me, based on what we've read, he's not finished with that. I think he's going to be in court. Unless he inboxes me or tells me or comes on the show and tells me otherwise. That's what we have to go on. But, I mean, to keep it a buck, I didn't really want to see Michael Hunter versus Jarrell Miller. I don't really want to. I'm not even saying I don't want Americans to fight Americans. I'm just saying there's enough UK talent to bring appeal to an overall fight. Why? Keeping it a buck. There are more UK fans in boxing than American fans in boxing. Only boxing. Think about the boxing fans. Who do you support boxing-wise? Who do you support? Who's bigger? On this side, okay, you got Canelo and then what? Terrence Crawford. Who else? You can say Boots. Who's Boots fighting? Somebody we never fucking heard of. Exactly. Exactly, we never heard of him. Shakur Stevenson. Who is he fighting? Nobody knows. Devin Haney, Brian Norman. Great fight. All right? Michael Hunter wasted his talent. Turkey wants fight Usyk versus Moses. 300 million for Usyk and 200 million for Moses. It's cash, realistic. That's no. I mean, who wouldn't take that shit though? You think Usyk was offered $300 million to fight Moses Itauma? You think he wouldn't take it? Hell yeah, he'd take it. And he would ask every sanctioning body for an extension that he could possibly ask, or you know what I'm saying? Because you need the belts, because the belts bring the appeal of what's the reward. Okay, so you need that on the table to sell the fight, because without the belts, and then let's say the WBO says, nope, I'm tired of you waiting, we're out. So they elevate Joseph Parker. Okay, well that's no longer an undisputed fight. Why do you think the second fight with Tyson Fury and Usyk wasn't really that appealing? Because it wasn't on the line for all the belts. In a 4-belt era, it was not. Okay, the IBF wasn't there, which Tyson Fury didn't care about, but it didn't matter because he didn't win anyway, right? I don't think Turkey will break Floyd's record. There'll never be another Floyd. I don't think Turkey will break Floyd's record. Well, I don't know what that means. Floyd became a ducker. Casuals don't know Boots or guys like Shakur. I mean, they know of them. But then again, if casuals don't know about Boots or Shakur, can you blame them? See, how do you find out about fighters? How do you find out about them? Undercards, articles, interviews, and what? Fights. You know. So a lot of these guys, you find out about the undercard. You find out, okay, Olympics, right? Amateurs coming out the Olympics. That's how you find out about, these guys. You find out about, okay, they're a potential, what they've done amateur wise, being a golden Olympian or a placing, bronze, silver, gold. They're all placing at a certain standard because once you get out of the amateurs and you're an Olympic gold medalist, you are expected to do well in the sport of boxing. It pretty much positions you in a situation where you're going to do what you're going to do. And it won't be because you can't get fights. You know what I'm saying? This isn't a Dillian White or a Fabio Wardley type situation where they had to actually fight themselves into position or get with the right. But no, when you are a golden Olympian, silver, bronze, you are, really silver. Silver is kind of the adopted, how do you say it? It's the adopted excuse, right? Exception. But the Olympics means a lot because when you get a golden Olympian, you got something special. Oscar De La Hoya coming out of the Olympics, special. He was already going to be a star. They were already signing him up for promotions. Golden Boy, not Golden Boy, I'm sorry. But Top Rank was that promotional company. And he got $20 million a fight or some shit like that, 10, 20 million per fight. And this was back in the mid 90s, late 90s, 2000s. Oscar De La Hoya was a millionaire, making babies all over the place. We will never see another Floyd Mayweather. He fought 20 plus champions. That's why Floyd's money record that's fine. That's great. Cool. Yeah, boxing is an important martial art in MMA when it came to striking. I wonder if Anderson is still interested in boxing. He could fight Ruiz, Hunter, maybe Miller. Here's the thing. Hunter, Miller. Andy Ruiz fought Jarrell Miller, and I am surprised that fight went off. Because when is the last time we've seen two Americans get a successful promotion going? That's what I'm saying. Like, we getting all these back and forth, shit talking, he said, she said type issues and situations, but we don't have successful in the States. What have we done? What have we seen take place? Now, hopefully we get to Devin Haney versus Brian Norman. But if that fight doesn't happen for whatever reason, you're like, okay, what the hell? Crawford has to replicate Evander Holyfield versus Quali to be Canelo. Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez is going to be a treat. We'll see how good he is, or we see how good he's not. Turkey can pump all the oil he wants. He will never be able to pay fighters the way Floyd was earning money. Floyd earned it the hard way, fought everybody and whooped everybody, no controversy. No, hell no. You're saying that the money that Floyd made, him and Manny Pacquiao, ruined boxing. You don't believe me? That's easy to understand. Do you know how whack that fight was with him and Pacquiao? How many times did you just sit there and watch that fight? We watched that fight to see how many seconds and punches landed. The fight was lame compared to the hype. See, Floyd cashed out on an opportunity that nobody else will get to do because of how he fought that fight. Floyd made more money in one night than anybody. Then he did it twice. He did it against McGregor, and actually McGregor was a pretty decent fight because of the way he decided to fight. He fought Conor coming forward, walking through his shots, walking through Conor's shots. And he eventually tired Conor out because he knew that Conor McGregor had a stamina issue. This dude likes to party at night. He likes the nightlife. You know what I'm saying? And it told in the ring. And Floyd knocked his ass out. And then they stopped it really before. It should have been, honestly, they should have let that fight go on. They should have stopped it like that. They should have let Floyd do what he needed to do because Floyd took some punches in that fight. But the Pacquiao fight, Pacquiao fighting him, those guys probably made together combined of what, 500,000, 480,000. I think Manny got 180 million. I'm sorry, 180 million. Floyd got 300 million. So you're saying, oh, well, Floyd, he fought all these champions. He fought this and that and the other. Pretty Boy did. Money didn't. After everything else, all that shit said and done, Floyd wasn't fighting everybody. Floyd fought who he felt he wanted to fight. And I don't want Usyk to fall in that same circle of mind thinking and everybody else. I don't want you guys to think that Usyk can do whatever he wants because that's already what Canelo thinks that he can do. That's why he's lost his luster. But I think he's lost more of his luster. Okay? And I'll explain why next week. Salute, Black Warrior Spirit. Salute, Kurt, blessings. Big Kurt, my brother. Counterpunch to you, man. Turkey has unlimited money. McGregor did better than Pacquiao. You could be right because Manny did nothing versus Floyd. No, I mean, Floyd fought Manny in a way that he knew I'm going to box Manny because he couldn't fight Manny because Manny would have beat the shit out of him. He knew not to fight him like that. You fight southpaw. Look, Floyd is very, very intelligent. You know what I mean? And he approached that fight like making 300 million and I'm not going to get in. I'm going to make this shit easier as I possibly can. Can I blame Floyd? Nah, can't blame Floyd. But don't expect anyone else to get that type of opportunity again. Thanks to the way the fight went, because it would never be worth $100 a pop for pay-per-view and 4.4 million pay-per-view buys worldwide to watch that type of shit again. So Floyd got the opportunity, but Floyd also closed the opportunity for other people, if that makes sense to people. I'm back on this channel. You had me mad as fuck, and you called my 10-year-old cousin a D rider for Tank. But it's all good, man. All right, okay. I don't know what he did or he said. I don't remember that, but okay. Welcome back. If Bud knocks down or KOs Canelo, I will feel like a man who has hunted in, has nutted in India. Love you here. Love in India. Love you hear me. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that would be crazy. That would be spectacular if Terrence Crawford knocked out. If he knocked out Canelo, you know what? I don't think there's no coming back from that. I think if Terrence Crawford knocked out Canelo, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Easy. Canelo's going to retire, but then they're going to want to know if Terrence Crawford's juicing based on all the bullshit that has came up about that. And I really hate that those were mentioned like that, because what people don't understand, when you don't have to accuse someone of something without accusing them of something, you know? And I think that's an issue. So I know people have short attention spans. Like I told Showbiz, I said, people need to listen to the whole message. And I know what you were probably trying to do versus what you actually did. And what he actually did was he gave people doubt that Terrence is a good fighter or not. But then he said, well, hey, I think Terrence is a clean fighter. Well, you saying Terrence is a clean fighter, people are not going to listen to that because they already heard you also say that it's possible that Victor Conte is giving Terrence Crawford something and we need receipts. And because of that, people are going to take him as being a Terrence Crawford hater, or being in that bandwagon that Terrence Crawford is going to cheat, or that's the way that Terrence Crawford is going to win. And in that situation, it's kind of it's bad to say, it's bad to do, because it's not about what you intended, it's about how people take it. It's not what you say or how you meant it, it's how people take it. And and I believe that he may feel that way. He may think he's a clean fighter. But it doesn't matter when you've associated that much with someone that did drugs or took drugs, that administered drugs with a fighter. It's a bad look. You know what I mean? And and I think people should understand that. So if Terrence Crawford knocks out Canelo Alvarez, that shit's gonna be the first thing they look at. And here's the problem. You're not going to be able to prove it. Why? Is because the undetection is the overall. And will it have merit? I mean, for people that want to use something, sure. Because Victor Conte was able to do it before. If you're going to let it out on the table, let it out on the table. Victor Conte was able to do it. He was able to give people drugs. And he was able to do things besides supplements to help fighters. But the question you ask yourself is, how much of that will help the fighter versus their own will? And to answer that question, you'll never know. Just like the Ryan Garcia situation, the minute amount of whatever was in it, the ostarine, we will never know if that helped him or not, or how much it helped him. It doesn't matter if you were caught cheating. Cheating is cheating. There's no degree. There's no leeway. It's no misdemeanor. Well, I had this percent in body, so it's a misdemeanor, versus Jarrell Miller had a lot, you see, so that's a lot. So that's a felony. No, it's all cheating. So it's going to be bad. And I hate that was a topic, and I hate it was brought up or presented the way it was presented, because people are not going to understand what you're saying. If you're even trying to say it, they're just going to take it the way they feel you're saying it. So if they take it the way they feel you're trying to make it be, that's what it is. Perception is reality. Perception is reality. So, all that stuff, for non, I don't know. I'm not even going to talk about that dude. But I got Crawford winning by decision. That makes sense. But then decision, I don't know. I'm going to give you guys my prediction. It's going to blow your mind. It's not going to be what you think it's going to be. That's why you got to wait. But no. Kurt, you should rename this stream to the fall of UK fighters. They only have nice Nick Ball. Okay. Yeah. Only Nick. Cool. I got Crawford winning by decision over Canelo. He was coming forward most of the fight, though. Anthram, good evening from South Wales. Kurt, big up to Carol and Nash Point. Counterpunch to you guys. Bud won't be able to KO stirrup up Canelo, or steroided up Canelo. He has to outbox him, and he can. Canelo is not as skillful as Bud. Canelo, you look at the fighters Canelo's fought. Who am I impressed with Canelo beating? Austin Trout, Miguel Cotto, Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, Caleb Plant, and that's it, really. I mean, those are the best performances I've seen Canelo in. I mean, win. Because I don't think he beat Lara. I don't think he beat Triple G. I think the second fight with Triple G was a draw. I think the first fight was a robbery or a bad decision. Not a robbery, but a bad decision. I don't think you know, I don't think that that was a draw at all. I think that I think that Triple G beat Canelo. Um, who else? The Kovalev fight. Kovalev was an old drunk by that time. He was just an alcoholic. Um, he lost to Bibble. He lost to Mayweather. Um, and, you know, but I was impressed with Caleb Plant, even though I think there was a rehydration clause. I believe it was on there. Wasn't it a stipulation, a rehydration stipulation on there, where he couldn't get a certain, which that's bullshit. Him and Tank were definitely notorious for that shit. Uh, what else? Who else, rather? Billy Joe Saunders, I was impressed. Why? Because Billy Joe's a good boxer. Billy Joe Saunders is an actual good boxer. I've seen Billy Joe, one of Billy Joe Saunders' best performances to me. It wasn't the Chris Eubank Jr. fight. It was the David Lemieux fight. When David Lemieux was knocking people out cold, Curtis Stevens, uh, Hector Camacho Jr., you know what I mean? He's flattening people with that left hook. He's knocking them spark out. Gabe Rosado knocking them out. Boom! I mean, catching them with those shots, bro. He was lightning. And Billy Joe came to Canada and picked this boy apart. That let me know, like, okay, Billy Joe's a good boxer, but he wasn't as good as Canelo. I mean, Canelo's a counterpuncher. And with his counterpunching ability and his ring IQ and his ability to set up traps, that's his specialty, his durability. But I think that's all involved in his defense. And every counterpuncher must have good defense because they have to anticipate punches and avoid shots to set up their own shots, right? So that's Canelo's ability, and his ability was greater than the boxing ability of Billy Joe Saunders. And Billy Joe Saunders, being a southpaw, it just showed you how the levels were. And everybody assumed, and I think maybe people assumed that Canelo was better or got better than he was in the Lara fight. But understand, I don't think so. I just think Lara was just a better boxer than Billy Joe. But people would perceive that no, Canelo's just better because he's been in there with guys like Lara. Therefore, he knows what to do with guys like Lara. So he went in there and then, shattered that boy's eye, stopped the fight in round 5. Billy Joe quit after patronizing Danny Dubois in the year before in the Joe Joyce fight. Lara was much better than Billy Joe. Now, Billy Joe Saunders had some talent, but his attitude, and once he stepped up, it was a different level. Well, it just showed you, though, that what level Canelo's on, too. You know what I mean? Canelo's a bad dude, and he's been doing it a long time. And I think what it is, despite Canelo being younger than Terrence Crawford, I think he's had more wars, the Triple G shits. That was a war. Those were wars. That was his ride or die. Those are those grinding fights that get you to understand who he was dealing with. Yeah. Yeah, if Crawford knocked out Canelo, I think boxer of the year. Well, Terrence Crawford, if he stops Canelo, bro, he would be something special. And yeah, I think because he's like the predecessor of everyone. He did what Pacquiao couldn't do. He knocked out Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn gave Manny Pacquiao a very hard time in Australia. Callum was at the wrong weight class when he fought Canelo. Callum belongs at 175. I believe that. I do believe that. I think that either he outgrew the division. I'm not sure on the rehydration clause, but that was a fight that I was interested in seeing. And when I seen Canelo just hit this boy on his bones and arms, I will admit to you guys that Canelo doing that Roy Jones Jr. shit by hitting you on your shoulders and your forearms and your chest, You know what I mean? He's attacking you with bolo punches. And those bolo punches, he's punching you to hurt, to injure tendons, to hinder your reflexes on how you can be able to move, affecting your twitch muscle reactors. So if he's able to hit you in your shoulder and that's stopping you from throwing that jab out there, you know what I'm saying. If you're in a southpaw stance and you're hitting him with that jab and then he catches you right there, understand he's hitting you there for a reason. And so he may be scoring a shot, but he's also hitting you there to eventually hurt you, and that's what he did. Bivens' right arm was purple after that fight. Yeah, that's one thing that bothers me about the Canelo versus Terrence fight, because if Canelo, man, I can't wait to do the breakdown between Canelo and Terrence Crawford because it's very interesting. It's very interesting, you know. Better be a prime versus dangerous boxer. Beterbiev, I think, is going to do something special if given the opportunity. Because, again, have you guys noticed, and I don't know how many Americans we have in the house, but if you noticed, how many American fights have we seen supposedly finished, made, and they fall apart? How many of those have we seen lately? I mean, don't you get tired of that shit? Don't you get tired of seeing a fight and or seeing these fighters that's supposed to fight and it don't happen? You get tired of that shit. You know what I mean? I'm getting tired of fights being made and then all of a sudden, all fights off. You know. OG Tariq from Philly, salute Kurt. The fall of American boxers can sometimes be very tragic. I was watching one of my favorite macho time shots in the face. Counterpunch to you. Hector Camacho. I hated Hector Camacho. I couldn't stand him. Could not stand him. I hated his fighting style. I hated his attitude. I couldn't stand Macho, bro. Hector Macho Camacho. I could not stand him. I liked his son, though. His son was pretty cool. But I couldn't stand him, bro. I could not stand him. And it wasn't anything personal. I just didn't like the dude. You know, he's another cocky Puerto Rican. It's like, okay. You know, he wasn't a Trinidad. He wasn't from the island. He was an American douchebag. In DR, we have what you call, I don't know if you guys know, but when somebody comes and leaves the island and then goes to the States and then they come back to the island acting like the shit don't stink and they're flashing money around, that's what we call Dominican jerks. Dominican jerks. They just think, and they may have a job in the States where they're fucking wiping shit toilets or whatever, janitors or trash men, but they come to the fucking island, they come back like they're fucking race. They come back like they're kings. That's what Hector Camacho was to me. You know what I mean? He wasn't Dominican, but I mean, I guess a Puerto Rican jerk. Chicago in the building, calling big guns. That's a great question, Kurt. How many Americans here because the UK loves you too much? No, I'm just talking about look, what made me make this live stream was Michael Hunter and Jarrell Miller. These guys are two Americans, and it's like, okay, go figure. How many times have you seen two Brits make a fight and this shit didn't happen? See, Jarrell Miller versus Michael Hunter is like UK's version of David Haye versus Derek Chisora. You know what I'm saying? It's just what those fights happened, didn't they? You know what I mean, Kurt? Would you still want to see a fight between Usyk and Moses if Usyk is 40 years old? Do you feel age will be a factor or disadvantage for Usyk? Age is a factor, I think. Believe it or not, people, Usyk really didn't look all that good in the Dubois fight as far as footwork. He looked a bit stiff, but Daniel looked stiffer. He just wasn't slow as Daniel, but he wasn't. He wasn't that guy that he's so great. He was just better than Daniel, and he fucked Daniel up because Usyk knew Daniel. in key indicators and things you do. And look, this dude did not have his guard up, so he did the same shit Joshua did to him with him. He didn't have his guard up, therefore he got chinned. That's what happened. He threw the right hook and overhand left. He came with his right, bow, got countered with his left. He got caught with a right hook, he went down. He got back up, he got caught with a right hook, and then he got caught with an overhand left, the Ivan punch, the end. He got up on the 8 count because he quit, because he didn't want to get up and take no more of that ass whooping. Because there's nothing that he could see that he did wrong. That's why I know Danny Dubois is not what we thought he was. He's a guy that if he can punch you back. But he wasn't punching Usyk, so he quit. That's it. Bars. Hey, yo, counterpunch. Who do you think will win Justice Honey versus Moses Itauma? Moses. But then here's the thing. To be fair, the greatest night, 1792. I'm going to go all out on a limb here. I may have, for my Americans, I may get some stick for this. But there's a possibility that Moses Itauma may be chinny. He may not be, but he may be. Because he hasn't been tested yet, right? So if he hasn't been tested yet, we can assume anything we want. So we do know that Justice Honey can't take a decent shot. He will get hurt, he can get chinned, and he can go down. He doesn't have the best chin in the heavyweight division. Right? Now, we don't know that about Moses Itauma, but what I can tell you is Moses Itauma could be in that same boat. We just don't know it yet. Moses' brother was chinny. He looked slower than usual in the Fury rematch. Do you believe Jared Anderson is finished? I mean, the guy only has 1 loss. Well, I think that's what happens with people. I think that's what happens with a lot of fighters. You know, especially over here. I mean, to keep it a buck, you know what happened to, and he had great potential, and I don't understand what happened. Peter Quillen. You guys remember Peter Quillen? Peter Quillen, this motherfucker, well, he has 2 losses. I don't know who did he lose to? Alfredo Angulo? He lost to Angulo in 2019. He hasn't fought since, but his first loss was to Danny Jacobs, Kid Chocolate, right? Grew up in Detroit. Dad was Cuban, right? And he was good. He had a lot of good fights. He beat Andy Lee. He beat Gabe Rosado. Hassan Endam. He beat a lot of those guys. You know, Caleb Truax. Well, that was a no decision, honestly. He beat a lot of guys. And then he beat Michael Sarafa. And then he fought Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs blew his ass out of the water. And then he just disappeared. The dude disappeared for like 2 years. And everybody was like, where the hell you went? And then he fights, you know, Caleb, then he loses to Alfredo Angulo, and then it's just like crazy. So, you know, I don't even think it's about the losses. I think it's about the mentality. I think it's how the loss or how you are unable to come back from the loss. And I don't think he had that type of comeback strength. You know, exactly what I think, and mainly because Moses goes on about it a lot. Moses could get exposed just like AJ or worse. Maybe. I just think Moses is a better fighter than AJ. But I mean, he's supposed to be. You guys remember that rant of AJ? I'm 18 stone. I'm heavy. I was going to jail. I'm 18 stone. Yeah. Yeah, he started boxing at like 17, 18, some shit like that. I ain't gonna lie, Kurt. I felt like Ali when Tyson jumped on Holmes for him. When Usyk got Daniel for beating AJ like that. Well, that's kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of backwards, right? But I don't know, man. It's crazy. I don't know, man. I think I don't know. I never thought of it like that. That's interesting. You say that. Usyk whooping Dubois' ass for Dubois beating up AJ. You'll beat my friend. I am going to beat you, and Don Charles, you will get it too. If we have street fights outside, yeah, I will crush you, mother bitches. You guys think Usyk cusses in his house? I've heard him cuss before, so it ain't like we haven't heard him cuss. The AJ rant, Kurt, you just got real wrong on that. The AJ rant, Kurt, you got real wrong on what he meant. Well, I know what he meant. He meant that he's heavy. You know what I'm saying? He's shit. He doesn't have those abilities, man. He worked hard for what he had. Versus what Usyk had. Usyk started boxing earlier, a lot earlier than guys like AJ and Wilder. You know what I mean? You forgot to add, I'm very feel. Jacob versus Pitrog, crazy fight like Costa Zoo versus Ab Judah. Nah, it was nothing like that. Alex, that shit was nothing alike. I remember those fights very well. One was bullshit. I gotta keep it a buck, bro. Pitrog hit Danny Jacobs. Yeah, he caught him with a beautiful shot. But that shot that he caught Jacobs with, Jacobs went down, was damn near identical to when Deontay Wilder dropped Tyson Fury in the first fight. It was the same shit. The only difference was different referees. Robert Byrd, okay? Robert Byrd pushed Danny down, bro. He grabbed his chest and pushed him and waved the fight off. And I thought that was so crazy. I'm like, why would you do that? You don't even know, because, see, when he hit Danny Jacobs was looking up at the sky. He was breathing because he just got caught with a good shot, right? I take it, Kurt, you read Usyk wanted, what? I take it, Kurt, you read Usyk wanted 90 days. WBO gave him an extra 30 days. No, I haven't read that yet. I'll read that after that, though. Send me the link in Instagram, if you will, DeVille Kurt, please. Moses Itauma can't beat Fury. Okay. Usyk went hard on Dubois, too, because Dubois' team were super disrespectful in the build-up, calling him a cheat, questioning his faith and shit. Pots and pans robot. I think that's true. Because I do think, I don't care what people say. People says that Usyk can be affected. Usyk can get pissed off. And I think Usyk, because he knows more English, is because he's learned more, he understands more, and he understands more. Therefore, he's affected more. Because before it's like, you know, Tyson Fury, blah, 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 blah. That's it. Have a good day. He doesn't, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, that's probably how he perceives it. If if you're hearing a foreign language that you're not familiar with and you don't know what the hell's going on, it's going to come off like that. Kurt. Huh? Okay. You know what I mean? What else do you understand? Like, you know, stuff like that. Oh, you know, you understand that, but you don't understand like universal stuff, you know, the finger or whatnot. But, you know, all those things said, the ref could have let Jacobs get up, but he was holding him down. The opposite, when Wilder KO'd Fury, the ref was trying to wake Fury up by any means. He wasn't trying to wake him up. He was just counting. I think that's bullshit, see? No, he wasn't trying to wake him up. He was trying to see if he was okay. He gave Tyson Fury the benefit of the doubt versus the referee on Jacobs' end held him down and waved the fight off. See, that's the ref that Wilder wanted. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we've witnessed. Kurt, why does it seem like MMA has a more unified love for the sport as opposed to boxing? Seems like most just like 3 to 5 fighters and shit on the rest. Because those out of those 3 to 5 fighters that they're marketable, or they have proven to be marketable based on the promotional companies that market them, that promote them to be marketable. It's all a gamble. It's all an investment. See, with the networks get 50% of the revenue of the pay-per-view. Now it's different because things are going more of in a streaming form. Well, now they need site fees. They need the money to put up for the fight, which before the networks would do, but that's only based on the return investment. If the return investment is promised at a certain projection, then they're going to give a certain amount of money. That's why the pay-per-views have to do a certain amount or a certain number based on how well it does. Because if it does shit, then that's where the money's supposed to be coming from. Because guess what? The networks are getting their money back for putting up the fight in the first place. And that fight involves the 50% that they put up, right? They need that back, right? And a lot of those pay-per-views go on the strength of how much money they make. That's why it's an upside, because the upside comes from the amount of money that it actually makes, or the overage that it makes, and then that's broken in on the whatever percentage that the fighter gets. But it's about the fighter anyway taking the punches it was supposed to be, but it's actually about the networks that put up the fight, because they're the ones that's gambling the money for the fight to see if it does well. So, Kurt, why does it seem like MMA? Okay, I already got that one. AO counter. Itauma said he wants rounds. When Huni was offered to him, he didn't want to make it happen. Moses don't have the heart to take on real competition. Watch how these guys move. I hope that's not true. I hope that's really not true. Because I don't want, I think Moses is young enough. I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that's true. I think Moses Itauma will fight anybody. I just think that they're moving Moses along. I think it's the promoter. I think it's the team. I think it's a joint effort. I don't think it's about Moses. You have good impersonation. Slay Mama 0001. I bet Fury won't fight Moses at least till someone exposes him. Yeah, somebody will have to get their ass whooped, and then all of a sudden you'll have, you'll have that. But no, I mean, I hope as Americans we can see Americans fight Americans successfully, because it seems like it's like the Wild Wild West over here after an apocalypse then occurred in boxing. You can't say Justice Huni ducked him. He took Fabio fight on short notice. He built different. Huni got too much heart. Fabio fights similar to Itauma. No, he don't. Doesn't fight anything like Itauma. Fabio, he's elusive and stuff in his own way, but he's no. The feints, the speed, the time, no, there's nothing like that. Look, Fabio Wardley's a poor man's Moses Itauma. All right? Because see, everything Fabio can do or is known to do, Moses can do better. More sharp, better punch placement. Fabio Wardley just has a big punch in the right hand. His defense is suspect, but so is Moses's. His defense is suspect. He just has faster feet. Like Fabio has pretty good footwork, but I mean, he's shit for head movement too. Why do you think his nose is all fucked up and broke like that? Because Fabio's took a lot of shots. He's taken a lot of shots over the years. That war he had with Frazier Clark showed you how bad of a boxer, or should I say, how inexperienced of a boxer he was. Frazier Clark wasn't inexperienced as a boxer, no. But it also showed how fast he could put him away with that equalizer in the second fight. First fight gave him hell. nose, face, blood bleeding all over the place. You know what I mean? He went through hell with Joe, Frazier Clark. Next fight, caught him first round, broke his jaw. You can't make that up. So no, I don't believe that's the case at all. I don't believe that. Fabio been exposed against Frazier. Ben Davison should have did better with Wardley in that Hooney fight. But it just showed you. And see, if that would have went off, he'd have been like 0-1. No, he'd have been like 1-2. Because people, look, everybody talk about that right hand that he landed, but nobody talk about that ass whooping that Hooney gave Fabio. He kicked Fabio's ass, bro. If it wasn't for that right hand, Hooney could have just chilled the rest of that fight. Just started, boxing and moving and avoiding the right hand. You know what I mean? Running down the clock. Right? Like it was the last quarter in the fourth, if this was football. And won that fight easy because Fabio wasn't going to win that fight. He ain't did shit in that fight. He got hurt, buckled a few times, beat up, bashed up, slapped around, knocked around. And he looked like he was on his way out, and I think that's what Justice was anticipating. Like, I'm going to stop this motherfucker. I'm going to do more. I'm going to make more of an impact away from home. And then that's how he got Chin. He got Chin. He got Chin, dude. Moses' abilities lie in his youth. When his age catches up and the athleticism drops, Moses will be an average heavyweight. Well, I don't know. Because that's a long time from now. That's a long time from now, like every other boxer there. Yeah. But that's a long time from now. Everyone knows Fabio is limited, but he got balls and an equalizer. Hooney is a very good boxer with a suspect chin. Pots and pans robot. Absolutely. Counterpunch to you. I agree. 100%. I agree. I definitely agree. Just finished my cachava. That's that cachava. Itauma is more talented than Usyk at 20. When Usyk was 20, he was getting his ass whooped by Sean Porter. I don't know. I mean, but I also think Usyk was in a weight class he didn't need to be in, because you had Sean Porter, big stocky football playing cat, because he was playing football. And if you notice with Sean Porter's style, you can see the way he attacks and dashes. Oh yeah, he's a former football player. He will run you over and tackle you with an ass whooping all at the same time. Sean Showtime Porter in the building. Who's a great boxer, amateur, 350 to 15. Sent from Pet. I'm glad they didn't rob Usyk in the first Fury fight. Well, they almost. That fight probably would have been a draw. If it wasn't for the 9th round, it would have been a draw, right? Right? Was Moses more talented than Porter at 20? I don't know. I mean, yeah, because he peaked. Porter didn't peak at 20. Neither did Usyk peak at 20. Let's say Usyk got robbed twice. Would you think that Dubois would beat Fury? No. And I told people that. And that was before the Dubois-Usyk fight, okay? I told you. Go back and look at my videos. Go back and look at what Tyson Fury said about Danny Dubois. I told people, I said, I think Tyson Fury beats the shit out of Daniel. And I told people that. His height, the way he can move. We've seen him survive a very challenging fight in Francis Ngannou. I see nothing. Danny Dubois, besides the jab. But Danny Dubois, bro, I don't know what it was, bro. He looked a lot worse than he did in the first Usyk fight. But everybody's perception, you know what I mean? Oh, Daniel's getting better. I told people, no, he ain't. He ain't getting better. He's just fighting different opponents. And different opponents have different styles, and his styles are better with the styles that he beat. That's why it ain't Daniel wasn't getting better. I told people that I would, and everybody, you hating on him because he beat AJ. You're an AJ fanboy. I'm like, dude, it has nothing to do with AJ. Just like AJ has nothing to do with Usyk. Just like Philip Hergovic has nothing to do with Usyk. Jarrell Miller has nothing to do with Usyk. That fight, that battle, that day. And that's how it's going to stay. Bars. You see what I mean? That had nothing to do with Usyk in the performance that he had against Usyk or the style that Usyk possesses. Usyk is Usyk. If you fight one guy, it ain't like you're fighting everybody. That's why everybody should fight everybody. That's why we need to see these fights. You think you've seen this fight, so that fight, well, that guy. Stop trying to be smart with boxing. Stop trying to be lazy with a mindset of a 40-hour work week, 8-hour day. This is not what you think it is. Boxing is its own organism. Every fighter, they have their own fight. Nobody else is included. When they're fighting, you can compare comparisons based on similarity, sure. But you can't say guy A that beat guy B, okay, and then B beats C, doesn't mean C can't beat A. But people think that. Well, it's A, so it has to be, obviously it's A. It's before C. No, boxing doesn't work that way. What do you think about if Wilder fights in bare knuckle? No, I don't want Wilder in bare knuckle. He doesn't fight like that. Wilder's gonna look like, I ain't gonna say that. Wilder gonna look jacked up. And Wilder, no. You guys seen Austin Trout? He's reigning and defending in the bare knuckle thing, and I feel bad for him because I'm like, damn, dude, you left a boxing platform to become a bare knuckle dude. Obviously, I think he needed the money. You know what I mean? Austin Trout needed the money. But I remember Austin Trout, I don't know if he's still married, but he had a real pretty wife. Ngannou not boxer and the street fighter. It's street fighter. I think Joshua would do MMA if he learned how to grapple. Nah. But I don't know. He's a big dude. He's just. I think those bare knuckle guys need to absorb into boxing. Well, I don't know. I think I don't know. Sometimes that shit's hard to watch, Joe, bro. That shit's brutal. That's brutal. Miller versus Hunter, what happened? We don't really know. In closing, I think Miller was contacted by Turkey Al-Sheikh's representatives and informed him because of the fighter Michael Hunter that you decided to fight. He has unresolved issues with his previous promoter, therefore we can't fight with him. It would probably, to me, it seems like the same way that Jarrell Miller had issues with Dimitri Salita. You know what I mean? And that's how he pulled out of that fight. But I think he willingly just pulled out because he didn't want to give Salita any more money, which is understandable, especially, you keep dealing with people. And you can't fault Jarrell Miller for that because he's not the only fighter that had issues with Dimitri Salita. So Dimitri Salita is a guy that other people have had issues with. Now, they didn't just want to come out and say it, but yeah, like Otto Weiland. He said, bro, I did not enjoy my time with Dimitri Salita. I got out of that contract, and I can understand somebody else doing the same thing. But that's all I'm going to say. Do you think Hunter is content being a sparring partner? Couldn't really comment earlier because I was driving. Um, it looks like that, but I hope not. You know what I mean? Shit, I'll do odd jobs and stuff like that in between shows, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be, content with only doing that. Fuck that noise. So I hope not. You know what I mean? I'm ready to go back on set, make some real bread. You know what I'm saying? Kurt, who wins the rematch between Eubank and Ben? I had Ben winning the first fight. I didn't. The fuck? I disagree. But, I'm like Floyd. Oh, everybody has their own opinion. Oh, everybody has their own opinion. Terramona versus Usyk. Terramona versus Bakari Jololov. See, we need to at some point, what I'm noticing though, and I'm noticing that a lot of these younger guys, they're getting these older fighters. It's called taking out the trash. Colombiana versus Usyk. Eubank did more. That's why he won versus Ben. Yeah, I do agree. Turkey got to make a card full of heavyweights. That'd be dope. Eubank did more. That's why he won versus Ben. I already got that. Why am I reading this shit backwards? Ben didn't win the first fight. As much as I'd love to say it, Eubank took the last rounds. Yeah, Eubank, you could tell he was fighting. He fought past and through a lot of shit in that fight. I mean, he was on Connor's ass. Connor was fighting because Connor's no bitch. Connor Ben's an intense little dude, man. Even when I met Connor Ben, when because I was with Dean and my boy Santos, Dean, and me, and we were backstage waiting to get in because it was a press conference. Well, all the fighters were outside stretching and they were doing their thing, and I'm looking at Ben. Of course I'm fucking 6'2", big guy, and I'm looking at Connor. And Connor, he turned around, hey man, this is Kurt. He's like, hey man, what's up? Well, he looked me up and he looked me down. And it was like, what's up? And gave him a fist bump, and that was it, really, pretty much, because it was just like, hey, hi and bye type shit, meet and greet, But even then, you could tell he was like, he looked me up and he looked me down, and like, okay, and he hit, what I mean? And so, yeah. So he's an intense dude. If I was Eubank, I would retire. Nah, Eubank getting that money. Eubank getting that money. He ain't retiring, bro. Think about it. If you just got 7 mil, 7 M's. If you just made $7 million for a fight that was a legacy fight between your rival, your father's son's rival, with that type of crowd, hell no, you ain't going nowhere. Chris Eubank Jr., because they're going to get 15 million apiece at this point. They're going to get twice as much because the gate was sold out. The pay-per-views were successful. Everything's a go. So guess what? They have an advancement on the next investment. That's crazy. Chris Eubank Jr. is going to fight. He might fight him a third time. If they get you might have 3 fights with the same people, and they all make combined $60-70 million. Because see, let's say Conor Ben beats Eubank. Well, they're going to have a rubber match, especially if it's competitive. Right? So, yeah. No, hell no. Listen. Eubank ain't going nowhere. He would be a fool to go somewhere right now. Hell no. I don't think you guys understand, about dopamine and sports. If you've ever been involved in track, I used to box, run track, play football. Did tournaments in taekwondo. That was not as exciting because you had different sparring sessions going on at one time. So it wasn't like this big tournament. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that way. It wasn't like everyone was looking at you. But in track, everybody's watching you. You and 6 or 7 other guys run down the track to see who's the fastest. To hear that crowd, to hear people, go, go, right? To hear that, it's like, that's what it is. Ascend a master. You're not a fighter. Okay, yeah, you're pissing me off. How about I fight you? How about I fight you? I hate people like that. Drop. You're not a fighter. I bet you I'll fight you, and I bet you I'll beat your ass too. You're not a fighter. You know what I look like. I don't know what you look like. You know. So it is what it is. You know, like shit like that pisses me off, bro. Like when people talk shit, you're not a fighter. And here's the thing. You never hear that shit. I walk around with shit like this all the time. You guys know I promote boxing every day, all day. Either it's Counterpunch Boxing News, Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Crawford, whoever. They're going to see me with some boxing shit on. But you know what I mean? And then you hear things like, hey man, do you train? Do you box? Where do you box at? Where do you train at? You know, you hear those type of things. But you don't hear, man, you ain't no fighter. You only hear shit like that on the internet because you got bitch-made people on the internet. You got people that talk because they know they can't get punched in the fucking face. They know that. They know they can't get punched in the face, and then they say this shit online. You're not a fighter. Because you're a bitch because you can't say that to my face. It pisses me off, bro. You know, it does. It bothers me because it's like, okay, you're saying that I'm not a fighter. You don't know shit about me. But you're going to make something stupid like, because saying somebody that was competitive, that did fight, and you're saying what they're not, that's just like saying Usyk's not a child of God. That's why he beat the shit out of Danny Dubois. You know what I mean? Keyboard warriors, yeah. I've done boxing and MMA, nothing professional, but amateur. Yeah. Of a crowd is so addicting. Well, you know, but no, back to what I was saying, that kind of threw me off because it pissed me off. But anyway, you can see, you can feel the energy, the crowd, the environment around you. That shit, bro. And how Chris was explaining it was like, man, I never been headlined in something that big. Do you think Chris Eubank wouldn't want to experience that shit again? It's more than just money at this point because, yeah, that money's going to be there. But it's more than just the money when you got all these different experiences, all these exciting things are captivating and happening all at one time, and you hear it under the bright lights, and you know how they're doing the shit now. You got fireworks and neon special effects and shit. You know, they're going crazy with it. And it's all about you. People are all there to see you, and it's crazy. I never worry about these keyboard warriors because I know they use burner accounts to hide their real name. Yeah, they just come in and, dude, I have, look, it's people that have like Uncle C. My uncle, I'm like, you got my uncle's face up there, Uncle C's boxing. I'm like, what the hell? I didn't know my uncle had a YouTube. And he don't. You don't have no YouTube. He wouldn't know how to do that shit. 50 Cent, Eminem, a day, Adam Levine, My Life, Good Tracks. Wow. 50 Cent, okay, I gotta look that up. Is that new? Because I'm a fan of both. 50, you guys know I'm a fan of 50 Cent. And Adam Levine, Maroon 5, no jive, bro. They've been rocking for the longest. You know what I'm saying? But no, that fight will definitely happen again. But yeah, we got to get these American fighters fighting. I'm going to try to get Michael Hunter on the show. If you guys will, reach out to Jarrell Miller. He needs to come on the show. He said he's vocal. He'll come out. He'll reach out. So, I mean, I've sent him my credentials. So tell him to inbox DeVille Kurt, not Kurt DeVille, because I may not see it. So, because I have 2 accounts. And I made two accounts because one got hacked that one time. Remember, like a few years ago. But nonetheless, it is what it is. If you had a ring walk song, Kurt, what would yours be? I don't know. Probably "What Up, Gangsta." You know what I mean? Something like that. I don't know. I had to think about it though. That's just the top of my head. You know, you got to get that heavyweight from Top Rank. Which name I always forget. Uh, who? Who we talking about? Hot stepper. I'd have to go with my cheesy one and play Rocky. I mean, that's fucking classic. Cheesy or not, man, I think cheesy is going to be the next cool. Because, a lot of times, bro, when I grew up, nerds were like, they treated nerds like outcast. They were in their own secret society. They didn't understand how valuable nerds were. They didn't know that nerds were going to be the millionaires. They got all the chicks when they got all the dough, and they got the mansion, and they got the cars, and they got the dough. They had all that. Richard Torres seems like a hell of a cool dude. I hope he does well. Okay, Richard Torres, I don't know. I mean, that would be cool to bring him on the channel. I don't know much about him. I will take a look at him. I know he's doing good things, big things. He's undefeated. I know that much. But we need to know more of Richard Torres. We need to bring people on the platform that we can interview, ask them questions, pick their brain, see what their aspirations are, you know what I mean, and see where they go in the sport, right? So collaboration's needed. I need you guys' help because, I'm the guy that counterpunches the news, but I would love to bring people in, and stay tuned tomorrow because Ike Ibeabuchi will be fighting Idris Ifini tomorrow, okay, in Nigeria. So I'm going to try to get the fight. I'm going to get it from somewhere. So we're going live tomorrow night for the fight. Until then, guys, thank you for tuning in. God bless and keep you. And everyone has been counterpunched. Peace.